Redditors who were born at a very young age, what is your story? Clearly I was very sick. I mean, I was born in hospital. To be honest, I've suppressed nearly every memory of the early period, but my parents tell me I avoided most activities, refused to speak, and spent much of my time crying. Big deal, I do that now. I was so shocked, I couldn't speak for a year. A maniac in blue clothes pulled me off and slapped me. I was born naked. That's so embarrassing. I don't want to brag or anything, but I've seen a right after I was born. Not another one since that though. To be honest with you, it was pretty rough. I couldn't talk, so I had a real tough time expressing myself. It got so frustrating I'd just cry and cry. Sometimes my mom or dad would be there for me, then they'd cover their face and completely disappear from my world. Also, I could not stop pooping myself, so no one respected me. Consequently, they kept treating me like a baby. I was born at a very young age, the youngest age anyone has seen. People say it was the greatest, youngest birth ever. It was young and bow today I couple. Great age, tremendous age, and you know a lot of people have ages. My people told me these people, many people have ages. But we have such great ages folks, I'll tell ya, but no one had such a young age. The doctors, they said, we've never seen such a young age. Many doctors told me this, the youngest age, possibly ever. Joe Biden could never be born at such an age. Joe Biden, when he was born he turned 40, and maybe even older than that. I don't know, maybe even older than that. And you know, I have never looked better, believe me. I remember when I was applying for a job as a fashion editor they asked me what made me get into fashion. I didn't know what to say so I said I've been putting on clothes since I can remember. Both the interviewer and I started cracking up. I got that job. Right after my birth I slowly started dying. I happened to be born extremely young. In fact, I also happen to have been the youngest person on the planet, even if only for a very short period of time, presumably. I was born at an extremely young age, then it went downhill from there. When my mother was pregnant with me, they did an ultrasound and found she was having twins. When they did another ultrasound a few weeks later, they discovered that I had adsorbed the other fetus. Do I regret this? No, I believe this tissue has made me stronger. I now have the strength of a grown man and a little baby. It all started on the day of my birth. My parents didn't show up. Edit, this blew up. Thank you all. The Doofenshmirt's Incorporated copyright. How totally unexpected. And by unexpected I mean completely expected. After I was born I started to age quickly, with about 1 second per second. Every 60 seconds in Africa a minute passes. Not me personally, but a friend of mine was born on his birthday. This question and all these comments have me over here giggling to myself. Glad I was able to make a few PPL laugh. You are a good man, thank you. I was born at 0 years old. Beat that. Wait, you were born when you were 0, too? I thought I was the only one. Hey. Maybe it's just rare, not totally unique. If it's just the two of us, we need to write a book. There could be big money in this. Don't remind me. It was a very difficult time of my life and thus I am trying to get over it. Edit. Some people are messaging me that they are sorry and I really appreciate that, but my answer is a joke just like the question. I was unfortunate enough to be born on my birth date. My mom didn't show up, and I was very, very small. While I get this is supposed to be a funny one, I actually was born at a very young age, 3 months premature. In 1987, a 3-month premature baby was a pretty dicey situation. My parents allowed the doctors to do some lung treatments that at the time were still very new. I spent a long time in an incubator and had a feeding tube. The scar makes it look like I have 2 belly buttons, which I used to think was super neat when I was a kid. All in all, I turned out fine. I have 2 kids of my own who were born healthy and on time. I guess I just wanted to share my somewhat serious story on this otherwise lighthearted thread just in case any other parents or preemies happen to read. Even if your baby is born at a very young age, there is hope that everything can be okay. Not sure if this counts, but at age 6 I was born without a face. My parents told me that when I was born I misbehaved so badly that the doctor spanked me. I know a guy who was actually born 4 years before he was born. Luxury. Back home in Yorkshire, you had to work 17 shifts a day down mill for 20 years before you could even consider thinking about being born, and since folk had kids young back then, it were your grandparents what had to do planning because your parents, not yet having been born themselves, were already 18 year into their own pre-birth 17 shift a day slog in mill, and if you tell kids that today they won't believe you. It all started when I was born. I was born at a very young age. This is where you cry. But there's a twist. My mom gave birth to me instead of my dad. After all that, why would your mom give birth to your dad? Ike, she still hasn't explained it to me yet. Had part of my cut off so it would look good. 1/10 would not recommend. I was born when I was just 0 years old. I was born very young indeed. In fact, some say I was the youngest person to be born that instant. The Precambrian was a time of experimentation. I was born with 7 eyes, 2 noses, and lip tentacles. Mom was quite upset and screamed, or I think she would have, but she had no mouth. It's one of the very first things I did, being born, and as such, I didn't have much experience at it. There were a whole lot of large people there I'd never met, and I had no clothes that fit. That said, I did well enough that I'm still here and haven't needed to be born again. In fact, as age goes, I've held a personal record for days old literally every day since then. I learned a lot in those early days. Screaming doesn't always get you what you want. Moms and dads are pretty awesome. Being allowed to sleep 20 hours a day doesn't last forever. I legit was born 7 months into the pregnancy, so, beat that Reddit. 6 months for me. It was very stressful for my parents. I am not proud. D. How could you do that to them, you little jerk? Ah, it was very sad. Both of my parents failed to show up for my birth. In my day, we were born much older. I staggered up from the delivery room table and went right to work in the mines, and never complained once. People now are just born, and they're immediately crying. They do most of their crying in their whole life around that time. Snowflakes. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel. We have new videos every day. Here's a meme for you to enjoy. In my case, I was born in the hospital so that I could be near my mom. Hello Benjamin Button. My sister had the worst luck ever. She was born right on her birthday and is suffering from a fully developed body. If I could, I would give you an award. I'm dying over this Lamau. You saying that is enough. I guess the real story is the friends we made along the way. At age 6 I was born without a face. Baked in reading this thread is confusing as. Not many people know my story, but I was actually alive 9 months before my birth. It took me months to walk. When I was born I realized almost immediately that I knew practically nothing. Not much has changed. I was born a poor black child, Steve Martin in The Jerk. I was born at 9 months, I don't remember any of it. I was born at a very young age, I was just a baby at the time. Well, in very fast, I managed to beat 500 million contestants at my very first race, then I had to rest for 9 months cause that was stressful. I was born at a very young age. I was birthed from my mother's and my dad was there to watch. They named me after a movie. As I grew up, I learned a lot of things. I learned how to walk, to talk, to not eat chalk. I learned how to spell, to rant, to not in my pants. I learned my 1, 2, 3s, my ABCs. Life looked quite alright. But then, horror struck. I realized my PP existed, and it felt good touching it. I started jacking off, and it spiraled from there. Now I'm a 14-year-old dude, which includes jacking off as a daily routine. Life, contrary to everyone else's, has been going smoothly. I've got friends and family. Heck, I got my own chocolate bar. This is my story. They named me after a movie. How are you doing? Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines? Not me. But since my dad was a neonatologist and I got sent home from school early a lot as a kid, I spent a ton of my childhood in the NICU. Most kids there are born too early and thus have a lot of trouble relating to their small size and underdeveloped heart and lungs. The hospital will keep an eye on them for a while and give them medications and treatment to help develop their lungs more so they can go home. Usually, by the time they're fully grown you can hardly tell the difference. Well, there I was, brand new, and very young, fresh from the womb. I knew the road would be challenging at such a young age, but it was what I chose. This is the path I choose. I am not gonna start in my 20s, or 30s like a lot of people chose. I chose the rough, less traveled path. Now, 30-something years later, I think I did okay. Oh hell, who am I kidding? I ain't got a damned clue as to what the hell I am doing. I am just winging this day by day. Not to brag or anything, but I was once the youngest person alive. I was a baby when I was born, was pissing all over myself for a couple of years and couldn't tell anyone except by screaming. Do not recommend. I was born about 10,000 years ago. There ain't nothing in this world that I don't know. I saw Peter, Paul and Moses play and ring around the roses, and I'll whoop the guy what says it isn't so. Well, I'm just a lonesome traveler, a great historical bum. Highly educated through history I have come. I built the Rock of Ages, it was in the year 01. And that's about the biggest thing that man has ever done. I was so young when I was born, that I wasn't even born before I was born. When I was born I was very young. Not long after that I was a little older. Now I am my current age. It's been hard, constant aging my entire life. I'm embarrassed to say this, but I was born on my birthday,